Hey guys, it's time for video number 3 in the Fitting Florets Make and Take series. So this is our card today. It's this fun fold, definitely a special Christmas card. If you missed the second video in this series, we made this candy box. The candy box holds either 2 of these Moser Roth candy bars. I get these at Aldi, I really love them. Or it holds up to 2 of the 2-piece Ghirardelli bars. Now I say up to 2 because the Ghirardelli bars have a little tail on the side that it needs to get tucked carefully if you're going to put 2, but 1 fits without any tucking. Video number 1, we did the 2-for-1 Christmas card. And this is a really fun pattern if you're looking for something to jump in and you get over creative block. It's also a really good way to do your mass-produced Christmas cards. All right, so let's get started with our Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas Fun Fold card. We're going to start with Evening Evergreen, and this is a hot dog card base. It's a standard one. It's 4 1/4 by 11. We're going to grab our Simply Scored tool and score at 5 1/2. Now we need a smaller little card to tuck in. This is Soft Succulent cardstock. It's 5 1/8 by 8 inches. We're going to score at 4. Now we're going to work the score on the hot dog card, our ultimate card base, the Evening Evergreen one. And then we're going to trim a decorative edge on the cover. So let's do that. Now I'm using my decorative edge from the Basic Borders dies, and I'm going to use this curved edge. You could cut off the card front and then use a decorative corner rounder if you want. You can use a different edge. You can really have opportunity for creativity here. And what we're going to do is cut a little bit more than half of the card front off. So pop that into our Stampin' Cotton Emboss machine. We're going to eyeball a little bit more than half, and then we're going to eyeball this curve and make sure that it's equal. We don't want it to be kind of peaked on one side and flat on the other. Another thing we're going to make sure here is that we have enough cardstock that we're cutting off to do our sprig, and we're going to cut that one right at the same time. The end of this card makes a perfect sprig. And at Kitchen Table Stamper, you guys know that the less passes through the machine is more winning. So we might as well do both at one time. All right, looks good to me. Let's give it a crank. All right, we're gonna lift away the scrap. We're gonna make sure our smile looks pretty even. At this point, we can recut if we feel like it's a little flat on one side. See how this peaks just a little bit higher? So I'm going to show you how I fix that. I'm going to grab my die and I'm just going to nip a little bit more off of this side. This side's a little low. And that's the problem with a curve like this. If you did something that was a straight or a peak, you could kind of measure center. The curve throws a little bit, and that's okay. I left a little extra just in case. I actually had to do this on my original too. I just see it better after it's cut, and you might be the same way. So leave a little bit of room to change your angle a bit if you need to. And you'll see as it goes through, we're cutting just a slim edge off of here, and we're lifting this side a little bit to kind of even that out. You could also lay the die down, trace the edge first, and then hold it away from you, and that will help you to see any unevenness also. All right, before we take the Stampin' Cotton Emboss machine away for a minute, let's add some nice texture to our flap. I've got the Merry Melody folder here. This Merry Melody folder is a 3D embossing folder, so we need 1 and 4. We're gonna pop this in so that the pattern runs the way you would like to see it. All right, so I want it to be embossed, and I'm going to use the front of my card. I'm going to go a little bit lower than the fold because I want the music to run across the fold here, just like that. I'm going to put the back of the card through. I'm going to square this up on the platform, pop number 4 over the top, give it a crank, now we've got our flap and it's got a lovely texture on. Let's get this machine out of here for a minute. We're gonna need it again, but for now, let's assemble the base of our fun fold card. Don't lose your sprig. Bring in your soft succulent card base and let's fold that one. Use the bone folder to get a nice sharp crease. And we're going to adhere that inside of our flap card. I love how you can get a lot of wow with this fun folds, but it's not super complicated. Those are my kind of fun folds. So center your soft succulent card in your evening evergreen card base. And now let's add some designer series paper. Our designer series paper and card liner are the same size. So you want to cut your designer series paper 3 3/4 by 4 7/8. And same with a basic white cardstock to line the inside. Before we adhere our basic white, we're going to stamp the greeting for the inside. That way if we're downhill or if it's not quite right, we can always flip it over. So we won't adhere quite yet. Let's grab some Evening Evergreen ink. My sentiment is from the brand new Framed and Festive stamp set. This is part of the Fitting Florets bundle. If you purchase the Fitting Florets collection using the host code, I will send you a make and take packet that includes all the pieces that you need for this fun fold card, quarter package of designer series paper, 15 pieces of the gold swirls. I'm going to send you a third of a spool of crinkle white ribbon and all the parts that you need to make the 3 projects, this fun fold, the candy box, and the 2-for-1 cards. So you'll make 3 cards and a treat. And it'll be my treat to you if you use the host code and your order is $97.50 or more, no matter what you order. I'm going to send you this packet. So you can order the Fitting Florets collection. It's an awesome collection, but you can also order anything else that's on your wish list and still get the make and take packet. And it's absolutely free. And it ships out automatically when you use this host code to your mailing address with Stampin' Up. So make sure that your mailing address on file with Stampin' Up is correct. All right, so we've got our fun fold base all assembled. We've got our sprig all cut out right from the base, card base itself. Now we're going to do a little bit more stamping and die cutting. I'm going to start with some basic white cardstock, and we're going to stamp our flowers and leaves and color them up. I showed you the framed and festive. The framed florets has these gorgeous flower images that we're using. It's a photopolymer stamp set, 13 pieces, and we have our Stampin' Pierce matte and Memento ink. We're gonna stamp the floral and 2 leaves. Now, by the magic of television, I have one of the leaves already cut and colored. And I'm going to show you how I did that on the other. So there's our floral and our sprig. Awesome. Now we're going to color with Stampin' Blends. I have Balmy Blue, Night of Navy, Soft Succulent, and Light Evening Evergreen. If you saw video number 1, you've seen me. If you saw video number 1, you've seen me color this one. We're gonna do our flower Balmy Blue, and we'll do a nice base coat. I like to fill kind of quickly using circles. We're going to add just a little bit of shadow at the base of the flower and coming out from the center of the flower. Maybe where the petals curl down, and then just bring that shadow in with the light balmy blue again. All right, we'll do the other flower the same way. All right, now our leaves. These leaves that have the kind of veining in them, we're going to do them the same for our floral and for our sprig. I'm going to start with the light soft succulent and do a base coat. I'll do a couple of leaves at a time, 2 or 3, but I want the dark soft succulent as we fill in the segments to blend just a little bit to what's already there. So now we're going to highlight some of these segments between the veining. All right, that's how we're going to continue for these 2 leaves and all the leaves on the sprig. All right, a little different for these side view leaves here. I'm just going to use the dark soft succulent and fill in. Now I'm going to switch to Night of Navy, do my flower centers and berries. So got the little flower centers, and I'm going to do just the lightest little shadow where the center kind of touches the petals here. Little shadow, not much. Then I'm going to do the berries. Could do the dark balmy blue for these 2. I think I've done them both ways. Last bit is these slim leaves, and we're going to just color them in with Evening Evergreen. I'm not doing any shading or blending here. It's just such a narrow little spot that just a nice solid color will do. All right, there is our floral. Let's go ahead and die cut these. Got my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, and the framed florets has a coordinating die set, also called framed florets. Go Stampin' Up. It's an awesome new development. We're going to cut these out with the little outline dies. Give that a crank. Right, let's set these bits aside. We're going to grab some gold foil. I found that a piece that was 4 by 4 1/4 left us in pretty good shape to cut our fancy frame. And then we can get lots of those little leaf embellishments that we're going to use. From the centers, we can get a sprig, and from the sides, we can get some leaves. So it really makes a nice economical use of your cardstock. If you want to put a sheet of copy paper, run it with this. It might leave your foil a little smoother, especially since you're going to run those 2 corners for more leaves and maybe get some sprigs out of the center of the oval. All right. You're going to run a second time for this card. This fancy oval frame cuts 2 pieces. It cuts the fancy oval frame and a smooth oval. You can see really well in the gold foil, the bevel edge it puts on the oval. It's really a pretty oval. And so you do get kind of a 2-for-1 on this particular die. So we ran the gold. We're going to get the fancy oval here. Usually that trick works. Oh well. Alright, so we've got our fancy gold oval, and we're going to run the same die a second time and make a white oval. Now, by the magic of television, I have my white oval already done just to save us a pass on the video. And we've got our pretty little leaves right here. We'll grab those up. All right, let's get our sample back in here and get this card assembled. I need one more quick bit of stamping. We're going to do the outside greeting again from the Framed and Festive. I've got Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. Now I'm having some trouble, and as I keep practicing it, I'm getting better here, but ovals with their egg-shaped top are kind of baffling me for getting straight level sentiments. So what I'm doing is I'm going to use my little grid paper. I'm going to pick a grid line and try to run it down the center of the oval. And how do I know center? Like with a centering ruler, we're going to go 1 3/8, give or take, maybe 3/8. And then we're going to put one of our peak or the bottom on one of the lines. So now we've got these plumb lines and we've got kind of an imaginary grid. That I have found has really helped me. I still don't get my sentiments exactly level, but it's really helped me kind of fight the curve. And now I can hold my Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas, hover, kind of imagine the grid that's underneath, and stamp. And much more level greeting that way if I use the grid paper. So a little tip that might help you also. If you're going to get this Fitting Florets bundle and use those ovals, I think that tip will come in really handy. We're going to adhere the oval to the flap, and I just used some liquid glue here because we're only adhering halfway. So a little bit of glue, only on less than the top half of the oval. And when we line it up, we want to make sure that we've got it centered right to left and that our little curve kind of intersects the same place on the side of the oval. And just press that down. It's very hard to get glue off of foil, so if you want to, you can grab a scrap paper and put it over the top of the foil and then burnish, so then the scrap paper won't pick up any glue that oozes and it won't get all over your foil. Now, Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. We're going to set right into the oval. Do yourself a favor and put the adhesive on the flap and not on the oval, because if you put it too low on the oval, you're going to glue your card closed. Add that right into the center. And then, so just in case there's any chance of smearing my ink, I'm going to turn over to burnish. Pretty cool, huh? We got another quick little tip here, our ribbon. Isn't that ribbon gorgeous? That is the white crinkle seam binding ribbon. And we are going to customize that and make it soft succulent. It's a pretty easy process. It's a great embellishment that is completely customizable. Let's grab my mini grid paper. We're going to use the light soft succulent. Got the brush tip. We're going to grab the ribbon and pull toward. And then while you pull toward with the ribbon, you can kind of move the pen away from you. When you've got a nice stretch of ribbon, you can clean up any white spots by just streaking. There is your gorgeous ribbon. Now, in the previous projects, if you've been watching the series, we did our ribbon on the back of the flowers, but this time we've got the stamped leaves. I wanted to show as many pieces of this collection as I could show you. So this time we're going to do a little different, and we're going to run our ribbon across our oval. So you want to dry adhesive of your choice. I'm going to use tear and tape. You could use your Stamp and Seal here. And we're just going to run a couple of little strips and put it on the oval. Now we'll remove the release. We're going to take that ribbon and we're going to tack it down on the adhesive. So we don't want the tail to hang past the card front, so we'll start with that tail on the left side, and then we'll just adhere, and then we're going to go back and forth and just tack it down into the tear and tape adhesive or whatever dry adhesive you use. And you can decide if you want your tail up or down. I've got adhesive here, so that's why I'm choosing down. Doesn't matter either way. You can do Z, or you can do, I don't know, it's almost like a figure 8, whatever. I'm doing it this way because my adhesive's there. Both looks lovely. And then cut your ribbon away from the spool. Now we're going to add our flowers on top this time because we have this 2-piece flower. And what I like to do is kind of dry fit where my flower is going to go and tuck my leaves because I want to see where they're going to land. And when I've got them how I like them, and it's not going to be exactly the same from card to card because where your ribbon sits, how high or low your greeting is, it's going to be a little bit kind of custom. And so once I got it how I like it, then I'm going to use a glue dot to make these 3 pieces one floral. It'll be easier to handle at that point. So I'll just take a glue dot and take your pick tool. And pick up the glue dot on the end of the take your pick tool, and then I'll lift the flower and add a little glue dot. Now we're going to grab another. Now we've got a flower element with really long, lots of leaves. A little bit different. We've kind of changed the configuration of our flower this way. Uh-oh, did you see that? My glue dot stayed on the take your pick tool. Take 2. There, that time I know it's where it belongs. All right, now I can pick this thing up all in one piece and add some dimensionals to the back because this is a fancy card. We want to add a little dimensional to that. But we've got the leaves where we want them in the overall position of things. So there's our dimensionals for the back of that. And let's get our little evergreen sprig. Make sure it doesn't go past the edge of the card. And I'm going to put this on with a little glue dot. There's a little tear and tape there that was still exposed too, where the ribbon didn't quite cover it up. So we got that. And then we're going to add a little glue dot. We're just layering and making things beautiful here. Our own little paper flower arrangement. Peel the dimensionals, pop that on top. You can really see the layers starting to form. Last is our foil leaves. Let's do like we've done in the previous videos. I really think it makes it a little bit easier. Let's trim the stems on our foil leaves. Use the shorter stem to pick up the glue dot. And now we're just going to lift and tuck. I love it. I love all the fun textures we have with the embossing, the foil, the pretty little cutouts in the frame. Our designer series paper is bold and beautiful. And then we've got the hand-colored focal images. Isn't that great? All right, there's one more piece to this Fitting Florets collection that you haven't seen yet, and that's the the adhesive back gold swirls. Now, I think that the camera is picking up pretty good, the little swirl pattern on these gold swirls, and you can see that I like them a lot. This is my second pack, and we're going to finish it with this card. The embellishments are overall a pretty good value. They're packaged kind of funny, but they're overall a pretty good value, and they really have a cool texture. They're metal, not plastic, and they've got that awesome swirl. They're just kind of a cool, different, it'll add something different to your cards. And we haven't had anything much like it. The closest product we have to it is the brushed brass butterflies, and these price really well compared to those. So this is our Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas Fun Fold card. If you have any questions about the project, you can email marissa@kitchentablestamper.com. The host code offer is good while supplies last through November 15th. If you place your order, Marisa Alvarez at stampinup.net, using the host code for $97.50 or more. So the Fitting Florets collection is $97.50. It doesn't have to be the Fitting Florets collection. Maybe you have some other things on your wish list. Maybe you got this earlier in the promotion. So any $97.50 or more order using this host code will receive the class packet to make one of these, and one of the candy box, and 2 of the 2-for-1 cards. So make and take packet offer is good while supplies last. All right, you guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for being a part of the series. I'll see you in the next video.